And where the fuck have you been? I've been waiting here since last June. You promised we'd kick the ball around. And we can't now because now we gotta do the show, which I guess I won't be needing this anymore. So yeah, it's season 2. This is the part where I talk about something that's on my mind. So tonight, why don't we, let's talk about unions. Unions are kind of like a cup in that they protect an employee's most valuable assets, like fair pay and health coverage. They can also help protect workers against discrimination and make sure you're only fired when you deserve it. Like if you're a flight attendant, who whenever they see anyone sleeping decides to get them a blanket and tuck them in, and then just give them a little kiss on the forehead. And no, Delta, there are not enough Sky Miles in the world to apologize for that.
Flight attendant, get your mouth off him.
Everyone deserves to work in an environment where they feel protected and valued. But as a society, we often start people off thinking that shouldn't be the case. When I was a teenager, one of my first jobs was at this burger joint where they refused to let me take a lunch break. I didn't know how to advocate for myself, so I just hung out in the freezer and I stole raw meat. Think about it. Fast food has often been considered the greasy work of already oily teenagers. It's like Calvin, my shift manager, used to say, well, if the fry's out of oil, just squeeze a teenager. And you might be saying, Wyatt, if teenagers have such shitty working conditions, who cares? Don't they live in a socialist utopia where their parents take care of everything? The only money they spend is on condoms that'll be expired by the time they actually need them. First off, rude. Teens fuck. Home run! Second, cause it's a fucking job! If it's someone's first job, it sets the floor for what they should expect in the workplace. This isn't some kind of fraternity pledge process where you haze somebody into capitalism. Thank you, sir. May I have another? Besides, working in fast food, it's not just a job for teenagers. While teenagers make up around 30% of fast food workers, the average fast food worker is 29 years old. And about half the families of people doing those jobs are so strapped with low pay and shitty benefits that they depend on public assistance to supplement their income. So we're not just setting a low bar for teenagers, we're overlooking another 70% of workers who actually rely on these jobs and aren't able to make ends meet. And you'd think that would make them the perfect candidates for a union, but historically, fast food workers have been difficult to organize. One of the reasons is that people don't think they're gonna be in the job long enough to reap the benefits of the time they invested. Also, Ronald McDonald will break your fucking elbows if he catches you talking collective action.
I'm loving it.
Working in fast food has gotten so bad that people are seeing the need to come together to advocate for change. In 2012, hundreds of fast food workers walked off the job in New York City and sparked a national movement for a $15 an hour minimum wage. And that movement couldn't be contained. Just like the grease fire that killed my shift manager, Calvin.
Hurry, someone squeeze a teenager. Oh no, that's making it worse.
Last year, McDonald's saw strikes inspired by the Me Too movement. And this year, organizers helped push through a bill in New York City that would protect fast food workers against terminations without just cause. Like stealing raw meat from a freezer because you didn't get a lunch break. Well, joke's on you, motherfuckers, because I stole a lifetime supply.
That's right. All this meat is mine.
Whether it's fair pay, hostile work environments, or unjust terminations, it's difficult for an individual to take that on alone. But if they had the support of a union, there would be an army to help fight for the changes they need to do their jobs. And it seems like that momentum might be building because one fast food company has actually stepped up to the plate. Burger, not King, Ville, which if you live in Portland, not Maine, Oregon, may be a place you've driven by on your way to a Burger King. Last year, Burgerville, Portland became the only fast food outlet in America to form a federally recognized union. It took a years-long effort and multiple strikes, but they proved it is possible in now 3 of their 42 locations. And look, I know that 3 out of 42 doesn't sound great. And Burgerville is no McDonald's, but it's not like McDonald's doesn't know how to work with union labor. Have you ever been to Denmark? I have. The McDonald's workers in Denmark, they're unionized. Why can't we do that in America? We like to brag about how we're the best at stuff. Let's be the best at protecting workers. Or, if that's too hard, what if we just moved America to Europe? No, look, hear me out. With this whole Brittany you thing, it looks like there could be a vacancy. And you know what Europeans appreciate? Soccer. Oh, no. Back beast, you won't take me alive. No, back.
Protesting. From angry white men showing off how much tea they can lift, to civil rights marches, protesting has helped define America throughout its history. Yet while many focus on what cutting witticism they can fit on a poster board, there's an oft-overlooked victim to these organized expressions of free speech: the feet.
Hello.
Long marches can have devastating effects on a foot, such as blisters, corns, foot sweat, foot funk, plantar fasciitis, gout. If only there was some way to combine the mobility of a shoe with the restorative luxury of an at-home foot spa. Consider the jacuzzi shoe, or jashuzi. The jashuzi is cushioned and padded like a typical running shoe, while purposefully 3 sizes too big. This allows room for temperature-controlled lavender-scented water to provide a healing soak. Of course, one might wonder, what's a jacuzzi without jets? The Jashuzi offers 3 jet speeds: labor strike, civil rights violation, and running from the inevitable moment the cops ruin everything. Don't worry about tear gas. You've got your own water supply.
But even if teachers stole office supplies like the rest of us, don't act like you don't. They'd probably do it to sell them, because a lot of teachers are in search of supplemental income, which means if you're watching...
I should finish up. I'll be back soon.
That driver, don't look! Wyatt. Shit. That was fast. Look, you caught me just trying to get a little din-din. And about that, I know what you're thinking. What an egomaniac. Yeah, I put my name on my show. Of course I'm an egomaniac. And in that spirit, Season 1 Wyatt makes a good point. No, a really great point. An amazing point. Teachers are paid shitty salaries, and that's just one of the many systemic problems with education. Hey, you should spend a whole season on that. Or don't. I mean, what do I know? No, stop it. Look at me. Don't you doubt myself. That is a great idea. And you know what? Yeah, let's spend this whole season talking about education. Oh. Now, last season, I had a bunch of people who knew more about police and stuff than me. This season, I needed to find people who could talk about education, so I went looking for kids, not in a creepy way.
I'm 16 years old and I'm an activist.
Currently a senior in high school.
I'm in 11th grade and I go to school in the Bronx.
And I needed to find some educators.
I teach social studies to high school students.
I'm a professor of English at University of Mississippi, and I'm a writer.
Professor of psychology at the University of Florida.
I am an educator, an activist, and a writer.
And then I found a bunch of other folks who responded to this ad I stapled to a telephone pole.
I am a historian of education.
I am the chancellor of the New York City Department of Education.
Investigative reporter at the New York Times Magazine.
Executive director of Education Law Center.
The co-founder of Racial Justice Now.
I cover education for NPR, and I also write books about education.
I'm the executive director of the McSilver Institute for Poverty Policy and Research.
Secretary of Education for President Obama.
I'm an education reporter at the New York Times.
I was hoping that they could help me understand what the hell is going on with education in America and why it seems so broken.
The reason that we see education as being so broken is that we piled so many obligations on the top of it.
I don't think education is broken. I think it is functioning exactly as it was designed. Because this thing was never built for certain kids to succeed.
What is broken is our society is unwilling to pay for education.
And with recent admission scandals, even bribing your child's way into an education is broken. Those poor, rich parents. Look, there are a lot of reasons education isn't working like it should. But in thinking about underfunding, maybe the most obvious example is how little we pay a lot of teachers. When you consider the fact that there are roughly 3.8 million public school teachers, that's a whole bunch of people getting underpaid.
last fall, you remember Time Magazine, they ran a story about the things teachers were dealing with because of low salaries, like not being able to save or buy a house or donating plasma. That same month, the New York Times wrote about teachers taking on extra work as cashiers, window washers, and landscapers. What's fucked up is here's a magazine article from 1950 talking about how US schools face a crisis. And these were from 1958. This one talks about how teachers had to work second jobs as bus drivers, paper boys, grocery store clerks. 60 years later, and the only thing that feels like it's changed is that news has gone digital. But not for me. Oh, I love the smell of musty paper. I'm what you might call a collector. Now, it might be easy to throw your hands up and say, well, this is just the way it is, but teachers haven't done that. Over the past year, teachers around the country have been fighting back.
Something happened in 2018 that was really important, and that was that the teachers revolted.
I think what was really, really unique about the teacher walkouts of 2018 is that they were happening, for the most part, in more conservative places.
This teacher revolt began in West Virginia a month ago, spreading to Arizona and Kentucky.
Today it was Oklahoma, where tens of thousands of teachers walked out on strike.
State after state saw the entire workforce shut down the public schools, demanding that we infuse resources into those schools.
In the spring of 2018, teachers walked out in 6 states, and most of them were red states. And this year, we've seen teacher walkouts in Los Angeles, Oakland, Denver.
Phase 1 was all these conservative and swing states. Phase 2 is some of the strongholds for teacher activism. The big liberal places are kind of following in the footsteps.
But this recent movement, it started in West Virginia over teacher pay and healthcare costs.
55 strong, they chanted, a reference to all 55 school districts on strike.
We're looking at insurance rates going from $178 per month to $412 per month. That's a car payment.
Maybe the best way to look at education is by starting in West Virginia to see how a strike even comes together and what things look like a year later.
Well, I never expected that we would ever strike, but something has to be done. You know, the only thing that the folks in Charleston seem to understand is inconvenience and anger. I teach music at Bluefield Middle School, and so I had to teach handbells, ukulele, show choir.
What is it like teaching handbells?
It's really fun.
Is that your handbell choir?
Yeah.
What's the first day of striking like? You wake up in the morning, have a big bowl of strike crunch.
It was exciting, but I was afraid that people wouldn't show up because that's what I'd experienced for the past 7 or 8 years, you know, people just not showing up. So I get out there and there are great signs and people are in red and there's food that's been brought by community members and just random folks stopping by and high-fiving the line. And it was just overwhelming, the amount of vocal out there support for what we were doing.
This was shocking to a lot of people because the far right has worked so hard to eviscerate teachers' unions and to make sure that teachers don't have a voice. But I think that the teacher activism changed the perception.
I think the key to reviving the teachers' unions and the labor movement in general is actually building partnerships with the community.
It's crucial, and I think the teacher activists worked very hard to make sure that they didn't walk out or they didn't go on strike until they had the community's backing.
I mean, I'd like to think that because we are part of our communities, that we live in them, we teach in them, that there is this built-in connection.
Our role and the thing we feel like we can control is we make t-shirts.
That's where you're gonna keep your hands?
I don't know.
Oh, no, I just made you nervous.
You're making me think about it.
How are you so informed about teachers? Why even give a shit? You don't have kids.
We know a lot of teachers.
A lot of our friends,
A lot of
yeah.
people our age are teachers. And I think they do feel invisible.
We both grew up without a lot of money, and like when we were young, we were both on the free lunch program, and like teachers cared about us when we needed it.
We live in a very poor area. Every child gets free breakfast and lunch. Food insecurity is a big issue because we're closing down the schools. So we started calling places. I mean, locally, I just called churches and I called a local recreation center and said, hey, would you be willing to offer meals? What day? What time?
What is Man a Meal?
Man a Meal is a soup kitchen that serves 2 meals a day, 365 days a year.
Okay. And what is Manimal?
A manimal.
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't know.
It was an old TV show about a man who could sort of be part animal. So you all put all this food together for those kids when the strike happened.
Yes, making sure that these kids were fed was a huge deal, and the teachers knew that. There was no way that they were gonna let any of the kids that they knew needed help go without.
And so the teachers were actually delivering the meals.
They used their own transportation and their own time.
Did they ever turn in their gas receipts to you all for reimbursement?
No. Or to their school district. They did it because they love their kids. My daughter actually went to the Capitol to march with the teachers.
Did she tell you she was going?
She did.
Oh, okay.
It was amazing. She made signs.
Yeah, but her sign wasn't like, fuck this shit.
I think it was, actually.
Oh, well, all right. How old is your daughter?
She's 7.
You teach them young. You teach the babies young.
You got to.
Yeah.
Activism.
I'm always hopeful because of young people. But this generation of young people in particular are so creative. The problems that perplex adults like me are nothing but a word to them.
So when the strike happened, what'd you do? Did you go inner tubing?
A lot of us students banded together, and then we created the Student March.
And students in West Virginia are showing support for their teachers as well. They protested at the state capitol on Friday.
When we knew they would be at the Capitol, we came to the Capitol, as many people in our group as we could.
Once school was back in session, did you just say, give me an automatic A right now? Or scratch your back, you scratch mine?
We want to show them that we supported them and that they're there for us, so we want to be there for them.
Many people in the state were supportive of the teachers. Some folks started a GoFundMe page that raised over $300,000 to help teachers cover gas money and childcare and to help support substitute employees who weren't paid during the strike. And now the idea of crowdfunding for teachers, it's pretty common. It's a resource they wind up turning to a lot.
Online crowdfunding sites such as GoFundMe and Kickstarter are often used by teachers.
Facing limited HISD funding, Rodriguez launched a Kickstarter.
The computers, iPads, and many books in Miss Pelifig's classroom were funded by donations.
Can we keep talking about how ridiculous this charity thing is, though? Sure. I don't want to, clearly you were in charge, but could you imagine if doctors had to use GoFundMes for scalpels?
GoFundMes aren't for doctors to perform surgery. GoFundMes are for patients to afford surgery.
Teaching was the hardest job I have ever had and probably will ever have for the rest of my life. And you're being paid like crap for it.
You know, Brittany makes a good point. Not just that many teachers are paid like crap, but also that teaching is a job. These people are professionals. Many of them have master's degrees. Still, after countless teacher strikes and the same magazine articles from the 50s and the 60s. Yeah, that's right, I got more. Someone's a collector. They fill the void. Also, we like doing crosswords. Hey, what's a 6-letter word for hoarder? Magpie. Got it. Yeah, thanks, sweet cheeks. Looking at these magazines, it does make me wonder why we continue to undervalue teachers.
About 80% of teachers are women. And that has a lot to do with a lack of respect.
There are lots of folks who think teaching is glorified babysitting.
It's a large part of why our profession is undervalued and underpaid.
If teaching were a male profession, I suspect that we would not see the kind of hostility, negativity that's been showered on teachers.
I'm a teacher, my mom's a teacher, my aunt's a teacher, my grandmother's a teacher, my great-grandmother was a teacher.
You're 4 generations of teaching, and I feel like this is a state where people will say, I'm 4 generations of coal, and...
Well, my dad's side was.
Really?
So we look at male-dominated professions, and we respect those people because we believe they work hard.
And we don't see female teachers in the same way.
I apparently had a bad reputation going into my new school, and it's because that they said I was a loudmouth. And I'm like, would you be saying that if I was a man? Because that I speak up, you know, as a representation of my union members? And I don't think so. I don't think they would.
In other professions, imagine if a man asks for a raise, it's like, good on you. And you have, you know, a profession that is female majority profession, and it's like asking for a raise, and it's like, well, aren't you greedy?
Yeah,
And
that's exactly right.
Well, and more than that, you're expected to sit quietly and wait to be given it. Even within the education system, your higher paid people are also the men, the administrators, the superintendents, the union leaders.
And the legislators who are making these
Yeah.
decisions.
And they're all old white men.
The leaders of the strike were women, predominantly women.
Except for like one guy who really killed it with his posters. I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
That's-
I'm used to mansplaining.
Ouch. But fair. We're talking about a teacher's rights issue, but when nearly 80% of teachers are women, it also kind of feels like a women's rights issue. And this women-powered movement in West Virginia, it was successful. After 9 days of striking, they won major victories, including a $2,020 pay bump for teachers, which good on the legislature for throwing in that extra $20. Now this year, teachers can order a large pizza. Ooh, but you can't order toppings. Can't afford them. So, sounds like everything's good. Teachers got a raise, education fixed. Looks like that's a wrap on season 2. Next 9 weeks, gonna be a clip show. Woo!
The struggle of being a teacher is constant, and it is not something that you do because you're trying to get rich or you're trying to get famous. It's something that you do because you care.
You win. Congratulations, roll credits, it's done, right?
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
I mean, Los Angeles just finished their strike, and it was some of the same issues. Education just across the country has been underfunded for years.
What are some of the things that you're struggling with in your classrooms?
Opioid crisis, I mean, big time.
Now, like, nobody lives with mom and dad. Like, it's incredibly rare. I just always assume that they don't. And then whenever they say, no, I live with mom and dad, I'm like, oh, okay. Like, it's a surprise.
We know that we need one social worker per school. I think we have over 700 schools in the state. Guess how many social workers we have right now in schools? 58.
Because you have so many of them coming to you that don't have a stable home life, it's really hard to get the academics in, you know?
We'll get notifications from the police saying they've called it handle with care. It'll come in my emails, and you don't know what happened, but you know something happened the night before at home for this child, so just be sensitive to what they're going through that day. So it's kind of stuff you never thought, at least me, when I was training to be an educator, never thought I would be dealing with this.
I remember the first time that I had a child, like, with matted hair and rotten teeth. She was a kindergartner, like, sleeping in a chair. And I remember thinking, you know, I really need to try to engage her. And then I got to the point where I was like, she probably just needs to sleep.
As West Virginia teachers' struggles in the classroom continue, so do their struggles with the legislature. In January of this year, state Republican lawmakers proposed a bill with another 5% pay raise for educators. But they also included provisions many teachers were against, like introducing charter schools. And while charter school advocates say charters give parents more choices for their kids' education, opponents worry that because charters are publicly funded but privately run, they'll take resources away from already underfunded traditional public schools. Similarly, the bill proposed education savings accounts, which would allow parents to put public money towards private schools or homeschooling.
I mean, it's the same issues over and over again, trying to privatize education, trying to defund it further than it already is.
What are the dangers that you see charters could bring to this state?
It's going to pull more funding from the public schools. Even more than charter schools, though, I'm concerned about the educational savings accounts.
They want to give them, what is it, $3,200, something like that?
Unfortunately, we have some parents that when they start getting in trouble with attendance or with child protective services, they pull their kids out of school to homeschool. And then those kids are off the radar. And if there is a way for parents to more easily do that and get money to do that, that's terrifying to me.
They use a lot of euphemisms like ed reform, school choice, and we've just got to get the word out on like what's really happening. It's privatization, it's defunding.
At least part of the solution needs to be more funding. We need to fill the 700 teacher vacancies.
The whole end game behind the pay raise is to fill those vacancies, is to make sure that we have the best quality education. It isn't so that I can buy a Disney Vacation Club. It's so that, I don't have to say, well, there's been a sub in that position for 3 years because they can't get anybody in here. They won't take the pay.
Right.
I mean, that is hurting hundreds of students with just one teacher.
Yeah. But also, shouldn't you be able to buy a Disney Vacation Club?
I should, yes.
Whether we are a parent or a community member, a cook, a teacher, a union leader, we fight because we love our children.
It started in West Virginia, then it moved on to Oklahoma. So there was this movement which spread across the country, and teachers began to say, you know what? We have power.
Even though that we know as teachers that things are hard. Guys, payday was 2 days ago, and 2 days before payday, I was down to $5.
So when I see teachers striking, I know two things. I know that the teachers don't want to strike, and I know that they feel like they had no choice.
And our fight is because that we love our students, not because that we're greedy. We wouldn't do this job if we were greedy.
So if teachers are striking, we need to be listening to their demands and doing our level best to meet them.
I am 55 strong, I am 55 united, but I'm also a West Virginian, as you all are as well. So to end our time together, can we sing the chorus to Country Roads? Absolutely. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong, West Virginia.
We need to respect teachers. We need to put them on a pedestal. I couldn't do what they do.
What kind of camera doesn't have a phone attached to it? Hey. In February, West Virginia teachers, they went on strike again over the new education bill. They won, but the challenge they face is to create change that actually lasts. Because until then, teachers are likely to be stuck in this cycle over and over again. West Virginia teachers have actually been here before. They went on strike in 1990 for some of the same stuff.
There is not enough money to give our children the kind of education they need, and that can be addressed right here at the Big House.
I've been in education for 18 years, and I feel like we are discussing the same subjects we were discussing 18 years ago.
Do you remember the strikes in 1990?
I was in kindergarten
Okay.
in 1990.
So it sounds like you weren't the most informed kindergartner.
Yeah, I was not.
Yeah, well.
But I can tell you a quick little story. My husband, who's a few years older than me, remembers his parents taking him to the line.
Really? Oh, wow.
Sorry.
No.
Just how you remember saying, this is what you do when you believe in something. And I hope that what we did, that kids see that one day, that, you have to fight, even if it is inconvenient or it's scary.
And you have to keep fighting.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, talking about, do we see an end to this? And as hard as that is, no. I wish that we could value our children and our educators, and truly buy into that, education builds the foundation of our society. What do we want our future to look like?
What do we want our future to look like? That's what feels like is worth exploring this season. Because unless we honestly engage that question, it's just gonna keep looking exactly like the past. Which, just in case, I should probably make room for some more magazines. Ooh, and figure out a new sorting system. Oh, you could sort them alphabetically, starting from the middle and working your way forward. Wyatt John Foster Cenac, what are you thinking? That is an amazing idea. A perfect idea? Wait, you're not gonna help me? I'm just gonna sort all this by myself? You'll stick around, right? You too? You're gonna miss out on this fun. You know what, I'm gonna leave too. Maybe it'll sort itself.